welcome in all you O9ers, PCHers, private detectives, overseas military officers, murder heads, and the last shred of Veronica's trust. Life on Mars, the Veronica Mars Rewatch podcast where we go through episode by episode. I'm Brenton.
And I'm Emily.
We're here to talk about Season 4, Episode 5, Losing Streak.
Bump, losing streak. You don't know that song.
I don't.
It's Easy Street. It's from Annie. Bump,
Oh,
bump,
okay.
Easy Street. It's the song they sing when they're like, yeah, we're going to make all the money and pretend that we're Annie's real parents and go get her back from Daddy Warbucks.
Is this what Miss Hannigan does?
It's what her brother and her sister-in-law or her sister and her brother-in-law. Can't remember, but you know what I mean. Someone who's like related to her.
Uh-huh.
I don't remember if it's her biological brother or sister, though. You know what I mean? Out of the couple.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, then they're going to split the money with Miss Hannigan.
Nice.
We love you, Miss Hannigan.
No one was made for money like Daddy Warbucks.
I only like...
It's in the name.
I only like the version with Sarah Hyland from the early 90s. Didn't know that she was in it, but she plays the littlest girl.
I think I remember that.
It's my favorite
That's
one.
probably the only one I've seen.
It's the best one, in my opinion.
Okay.
There's conjecture. Have I watched all the other ones? Only the really old one. So not the one that came out around the same time.
Right. Or the 2010s one? When did that one come out, right? 2012 or something?
Yeah, I think so. I did not see that one either.
Yeah.
I have not watched Annie in at least a decade, if not a decade and a half.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't watched it, so. But what we have watched is a Veronica Mars episode.
Yes, we did. We watched this beautiful episode 5 of this short Hulu version of Veronica Mars, which the episodes feel long, but the season feels short.
Yep. We get more play setting, but we get some movement on stuff. We've got some movement and some mystery. Some evidence on our suspects, not mysteries. We got plenty of mysteries. Let me tell you.
Do you know this show has mysteries in it?
It does.
Who done it?
It's a machine of mysteries.
Excuse me.
Who done it?
Scooby is going to have an issue with you using the mystery machine for this.
That is true. But damn, so Penn actually bugged the apartment, huh? We were wrong.
We were.
I was quite certain that
it was just from Maddie telling him.
Exactly. Jumping the gun a little bit, they don't tell Maddie that he bugged their place, right?
No. Yeah. No. So she thinks that it's her fault.
Right.
And they never really 100% figure it out. I think like what she's apologizing for. Or I guess they do. They know what she's apologizing for, but they don't tell her probably because you don't know what she's going to say.
Yeah, that's true. But I was thinking about that this morning and I was like, oh yeah, they never told her about that.
I don't think they want her to know that he did that, because then she might not trust him. You know what I mean? I think they can use Maddie's relationship with Penn.
Totally. And you hear that when she comes in, so then because that's the first thing that she says in this episode. So it's like, oh, okay.
Yes.
But I just I was like, oh yeah, that's interesting. Interesting thing to know potentially. But I was as surprised as anybody that Penn apparently is more handy, or at least has more money than we give him credit for.
My favorite thing about that too is that we've watched this before and neither one of us remembered that.
No, it was just
2020, you've been long.
Right, we're like, oh no, they're just overestimating. It's like, oh no, they listen to the experts, they know better than us.
Yeah, they do. So we start with Veronica and Keith finding the bug and destroying it while we watch Penn listen in on it, basically, until they destroy it. And they make a dig at him. They're like, couldn't be the pizza guy, must be insert random names of people, here.
Yep.
Which I think is cute. I like that.
Oh, yeah.
We love a good Veronica and Keith little.
You got to roast him before you break it.
Exactly. And then we cut over to Veronica and Logan. Veronica is like, Logan, can you keep your bike outside? Why is it in our apartment? Why would you not lock your bike outside?
I would say in his defense, thinking of this is not the time to be locking your bike outside when spring break is going on.
True.
And obviously he's not there long enough, and this seems to be a new habit of his.
Yeah, new bike.
Yeah. So yes, I would agree with Veronica. It has to go outside, but I also agree with Logan that it should be after. Well, he doesn't say this, but I don't agree with Logan.
I was like, did Logan make a statement?
Yes, Your Honor. But yeah, no, that's just gonna get fucked up if it stays outside.
Exactly. So then Logan's like, hey, don't forget we have Wallace's warming party tonight. Wallace's house party. He has a baby, but he's going to throw a house party.
I mean, he does, but just not the one you're thinking of. Not like House Party in like the movie House Party.
And he's like, I'll meet you at the Wallace's housewarming party. They're like, cool. And then Logan sees Veronica's phone that she has a text from Leo. And he's like, wow, what a fun 5 hours we spent together. Which is such a weird, I mean, like he says it differently, but he basically, it's like all of the details, but none of the details.
Yeah, exactly.
And so.
Which Logan is excited about.
Yeah, Logan.
As anybody would be.
Logan's like, excuse me, like 5 hours? Like I thought you had lunch.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, yeah, and then we did some spy shit. Not like, oh, we sat outside of my dad's office. Like, why couldn't she just give him all the information?
Yeah. She never does. She never has.
Yeah, which is just odd to me.
That's Veronica, though.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that's in line.
Yeah, well, and she does it to her dad, too. Like, she does it to everyone. It's just, you know, it is a baffling trait to me when I'm like, if you just included one more piece of information, it would change everything.
Mm-hmm.
I have friends that do that, and I often wonder if they do it on purpose or if it's just, like, how their brain works, if that makes sense. Like, if it's just like, oh, I didn't think that anyone cared or wanted to know.
I do that subconsciously.
But I'll ask.
Unconsciously, not subconsciously. Yeah, exactly. And then I'll be like, oh, yeah. Then I'll like tell you. But it used to drive me nuts when people would just like intentionally withhold information. It's just like looking like, don't you want to ask? Because I'm not going to tell you. It's just like, yeah, you motherfucker.
If someone looks like they're getting off on it, I intentionally don't ask because I am vindictive and I don't care.
Not saying that Veronica's getting off on it. That's a reflex. But
yeah, I think for her, it's like I need to keep everything close to the belt.
I've swerved into personal territory here.
But yeah, so then he basically tells Veronica that he feels uncomfortable about this, but without saying, hey, this made me uncomfortable.
He's just starting on his healing journey.
Yeah. And then he's like, well, I'm going to go to therapy. And Veronica like makes fun of him for that. Why are we picking on therapy?
Yeah, that's like the point, I think, of trying to work backwards of why Veronica's fucked up. Mm-hmm. Because it's not doing it for a good reason. It's just that the show isn't picking on therapy. It's Veronica is.
Mm-hmm.
She's messed up, man.
Yeah, she's so broken. She hates therapy.
Yeah, prefer it to her wrestling with a monkey or wrestling with a monkey. What is it called when you've got when you like alcohol? Or you're alcoholic. Is it like you've got a monkey on your back or something like that? 10-pound gorilla. Jesus Christ. Okay, never mind. Forget I ever brought up primates.
We call that Pyle's Primate Corner. No, I'm not sure. I mean, sure. I think one of those sounds like a thing that could be a thing.
I think it's a saying.
I'll look it up while you keep going.
Okay. Oh, God, I got so distracted by my fucking... there's no monkeys here. Yeah, they leave. Logan leaves tense and is pretty much just like, yeah, I'll see you there. Like, this sucks. So Veronica goes to Wallace's and is immedately like uneasy and like goes to find Wallace and I should have wrote Shay, his wife, and is like, oh, hey, like I gotta go do this thing real quick. And she's like, oh, fine, I'll be fine by myself. And we're treated to a montage of things that, of like boring people, where Veronica obviously feels uncomfortable discussing housing furnishings and architecture and like all that kind of like yuppie stuff.
Yes. Sorry to interrupt, but A Monkey on My Back is an American rock song by the band Aerosmith.
Hell yeah.
The song is their most straightforward song about how the band overcame drug abuse and addiction and got the monkey off their back.
It didn't originate with Aerosmith, did it?
I don't think so.
Okay.
An
so
800-pound gorilla
okay.
is American English expression for a person or organization so powerful that it can act without regards to the rights or of others. So, like, where does an 800-pound gorilla sit? Wherever it wants to. It's rooted in that joke.
Okay, so I was describing Amazon.
Mm-hmm. But I can't find 10-pound gorilla meaning. There's a business.
10-pound gorilla?
Uh-huh.
No more, no less.
10-pound gorilla is a marketing company, I think.
How boring.
They're a small business that wants to help small businesses, so they don't want to be an 800-pound gorilla. They want to be a 10-pound gorilla.
I see. Uh-huh.
I can't. Yeah. So I'll keep doing some monkey on my back research. But yes, we're at the party. Veronica's talking to yuppies. She doesn't like it. She doesn't want to talk about architecture.
I understand. She's right at the age where we're at, where this is the kind of conversations. Your conversations go either one way or the other. There are the people that are fully settled into a home life and are like, yeah, we're gonna get we're trying to get them into this fancy school. We're trying to get them into school and trying to buy a home and things like that. And it's
them?
Like, well,
you mean their children?
Oh yeah, them. Their children. Whatever. It was implied.
Trying to get them into school, and I was like, who's them?
The kids. Or you get the other people that aren't trying to do domesticated stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and yeah. So we Veronica is stuck talking to a woman who's talking about trying to get her kids into a special private preschool or whatever, and Nicole comes up, our beloved bar owner. And saves Veronica from the conversation by inviting Veronica to tell everyone about her twins and how she got them into school. What were her twins' names again?
Hakeem and Elijah.
Yes. And it's, we dig into some funky territory there.
Yeah, some jokey stuff because,
Yes.
And then they literally spell out what the reference is.
Mm-hmm. They really scare the woman that they're talking to make her go away.
Mm-hmm.
And then Veronica and Nicole go get high in the bathroom, which gotta go get high somewhere, I guess.
Yeah, might as well. Nothing else to do.
So Nicole,
my question was, did Veronica invite Nicole here, or is Nicole friends with Wallace or Shay?
I assumed she was friends with Wallace or Shay.
Okay.
Because
that's what I was assuming.
Because Nicole was there. I assumed they met. Well, because wasn't Wallace sitting next to Nicole at the bombing when they're in the crowd for the volleyball game?
Oh, I guess so.
So they met there.
Yeah. Okay. Wallace seems like the type of person who's just like, hey, we had such a fun time today. Why don't you come over to our party next week?
Yeah, or Veronica, you're Veronica's friend, and I know she's only got about 3 of us, so.
Damn, I mean, we're right in the scene already.
So then, Veronica and Nicole are bonding in the bathroom, getting high. Veronica's phone's ringing, so she dumps out her bag, and Nicole sees her gun, amongst other things. And Veronica answers the phone. It's Logan, and he's like, "Are you high?" And she's like, "Yes, I am." It's great. It's cute. We love that. Logan's like, he's like, "I'm sorry, I went through your phone." Blah blah blah, and she's like, whatever, it's fine, I would always respect your privacy though, man, and he's like, you're definitely high. And then Logan's like, okay, but don't drive. And Veronica's like, okay. And he's like, and tell Nicole she can't drive either. And she's like, Nicole, my dad said you're not allowed to drive us home. And she was like, it's okay, I have a driver. And Veronica's like, excuse? So then Veronica hangs up the phone, and her and Nicole make a plan to go out to a construction site and go shoot Veronica's gun at things. Just bottles.
Yeah.
I said things, but it's just bottles.
I always see that, you see this in movies where it's like, oh, we're going to go shoot a gun in some random warehouse district.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. How fucking scary would it be for the fucking houses people that probably live in those districts. Yes. But
this is a construction site.
It's just a warehouse.
A warehouse?
Yeah.
So Veronica and Nicole continue to do bonding while they're there. And Nicole tells Veronica the story of her being a waitress who worked at Comrade Quack's. And then she and the other girls who worked there were like, excuse me, Mr. Boss Man, we need security because it's dark outside and it's scary. And he wouldn't put in streetlights and he didn't do anything about it. And so then she was assaulted. And so then she sued the previous owner for everything he had, which in fact turned out to be Comrade Quack's. And that's why she owns it.
It's pathological at this point.
What?
To completely new women character. Guess what? Her backstory.
Oh yeah, she's
a sexual assault victim.
She's been raped.
I
mean, who? Like, it's just God. Why?
Right.
Could there one character? Nope.
Yep.
Not a single woman. Which I mean, also like, yes, women are, 97% of women have been sexually assaulted or sexually harassed in some way, shape, or form. But there's variety.
Well, but also in this series, hasn't ever been a meaningful conversation around it. It's always just been a background little piece of information to say how this like person got so like hard or tough. And it's also trying to...
This is why women are mean. Or it's a plot point.
Exactly, because now it's being used. Instead of driving Veronica's revenge, it is now potentially driving her. And it could only be a red herring, but it's a motivator. They've used this as a motivation yet again. That it could be like some potential, like she's getting back at these people. But we've seen this before and again, and it's like awful every time.
Yes.
So that's why I say it's pathological.
Yes, it is absolutely. And so then we go over to Clyde and Keith.
So I'm going to stop us there because in my laughing over the 80-pound gorilla, I skipped over a scene that is decently important.
Oh, the one at the police station?
Yes.
I was like, maybe when I was reading, I just didn't hear him say it.
Yeah. So I went back and looked at my notes. I don't know if you saw when you were talking, my eyes get wide because I was like, oh, shit.
I was worried that maybe you needed to go potty.
Well, I took care of that. So now that I'm empty, time to go back to the police station.
Is that what happens when you... Never mind. You know what? We'll address this in private.
So the man who is the victim of the bomb around, like the collar bomb from last episode, his father is a royal piece of shit, owns some sort of like gambling website.
In Ireland.
Yeah. And is just throwing his dick around at the police station because he wants them to find like his killer. Langdon dresses him down and eventually gets him to like shut the fuck up. But then as soon as he leaves the police station, he flags down the news station. Is just like, yep, get a load of, like, I have a story to tell you, and I'm offering $250,000 reward for whoever catches the killer.
Exactly.
And his son was Prince Bryce Lyndon.
Yeah, because he called himself King.
King Lyndon or something.
King. I wrote down his name, Calvin. King.
Oh
Calvin
yeah, King
Lyndon.
Calvin.
But yes, thank you for calling that back. So then we go over to Keith and Clyde.
I was gonna say Cletus.
Keith and Clyde. And they're chatting because Clyde's mad about Penn because what Penn pulled at the meeting. At the meeting where the nuts went nuts.
No, there was only one nut that went nuts. The other people that went nuts.
Yeah, everyone yelled.
Yeah, but they weren't the nuts.
True.
Those were the boardwalk owners.
So then Clyde's
that was the proletariat responding to threats from the bourgeoisie.
Okay, that's fair.
They're business owners. They're not the proletariat. I don't know what I'm talking about. Bridge too far.
Regardless, so Clyde's mad because, our pizza guy Penn was like spreading rumors, and so Keith finally gets him to calm down by making some jokes about hip hop music and how you don't punch down.
I didn't know that was a hip hop line, but
yeah, I didn't.
It's a good lesson.
Yeah, it's an important piece of information. So then
my white is showing.
Well, I think everyone who wrote the show is about the same color as you, so
totally.
I think we're gonna make it through these references together. We got this. Our skin may glow in the dark, but we're not that pale, I guess.
Yeah.
So Clyde's annoyed because all of this, and so Keith's like, nah, like it's gonna be okay. He de-escalates him, and then Keith and Clyde were like, we're gonna make a date to go duck hunting together. And Veronica comes in after, like, while they're finalizing their date, and so then she's like, okay, Dad, how cute, you and Clyde got a date. And he's like, we're gonna go duck hunting. And she's like, yes, I love that. I love that you're going to be alone with a man that we think might be in charge of all of this with guns in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then he's like, okay, honey, it's fine. But lay out, like, what do we think's happening here? Lay out the argument, which I appreciate. We needed a mid-season map.
Uh-huh.
This was a great tool to do this.
Exactly. Have you been binging this show? Have you been a little paying attention? Here's your ketchup.
Exactly. So Big Dick is harassing business owners to remove them and buy up their businesses so that he can control the boardwalk, basically. He used his buddy, Perry Walsh, from his time in Chino to get things moving a little quicker with the bombings. And then, we keep going from there. And then Keith and Veronica are both kind of hung up on the, like, what about the collar bomb, though? That one doesn't really fit. It doesn't really make sense.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So then...
There's nothing to be gained in terms of, like, real estate. Or it's not the same as, like, bombing the businesses.
So then they keep talking, and Veronica brings up Nicole, just like her friend Nicole, not in this way. And Keith is like, oh, my gosh, I've got it. Because she tells him about Comrade Quack's being Nicole's because she was assaulted, and she sued the owner.
He guesses that she was assaulted.
Yes. She sued the owner.
Mm-hmm.
He knew that part. So he links all of the bombing victims to being men who had sexually assaulted women, for the most part. But that doesn't... Yeah. There were victims in each category that had, because I would say that there's a whole bunch of other people in that first one,
right? And especially the owner of the Sea Sprite.
Yeah.
There's nothing on him. He was just a father.
Then Keith is like, maybe it's Nicole. Like, I mean, it could be nothing, but, like, she does have a passion for making things fair, and she wears a sap glove and hits men in the face when they're bad, which, like,
fair enough.
So far, I see no complaints about her.
Exactly. Yeah, I would agree with Veronica's assessment. That's a bridge too far, Keith.
Veronica's like, no. And Veronica's like, why would she try to destroy her own business? Mm-hmm. And Keith is like, that is a good point. Never mind. You were right. So then we cut over to the police department. The police department has gotten a fax or a note or a letter. Something was dropped off from the Neptune bomber. I'd like to know if he used a courier service.
Yeah. A guy on a bike came up.
Uh-huh. He has an ultimatum, and he's saying that he did it. Whoever this is, I assume it was he. I think they said he.
Yeah, they use he. They're assuming that it's a he.
But I didn't know if there was, like, they had referred to themselves in any way in the letter, but I guess not.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know.
We don't see the letter. So, then, we see that the police department's like, cool, we get to take this to the mayor because it's got an ultimatum for the mayor in it. We cut back over to Veronica. She's on the phone. She's leaving work, and Weevil's in the doorway. Mm-hmm. Weevil is like, what's wrong with you? You're using a 19-year-old as a prop. Juan Diego was arrested, and he's done some things that will get him on the hit list in Chino, basically.
Yeah.
He's 19. What could he have done?
No, he didn't. It was his family member. It was his brother.
His brother.
Yeah, he's like, his brother, like, offed a few people in the wrong, like, made the wrong enemies, pretty much. And it's like, if he goes there, then he's dead.
Mm-hmm. Veronica's like, well, why won't you tell me why there's an uptick in crime? And Weevil's like, I thought we were friends. And she's like, nope. And she's like, you really burned that bridge when you settled your case behind Cliff and my father's back, because when he had the whole thing with Mrs. Kane, I was like, Duncan.
Oh, what was that boy's name?
Mrs. Duncan's mom.
Wait, Duncan was the last name. Well-adjusted was middle.
And he's like, well, I needed the money. I had to settle, blah, blah, blah. not blah, blah, blahing at his reason, but just, conversation.
Yes. I mean, he just alludes to, like, I didn't have a choice. I had to settle.
Uh-huh. And so then, he gets a phone call. It's Hector. Hector called Weevil, and he's like, you know what? They can't find the guy who pressed charges on Juan Diego, so they're going to let him go tomorrow. And Veronica's like, see, it wasn't me. But, maybe you should still give me this information so I can stop people from dying. And Weevil leaves.
Yeah, or I think Veronica leaves. But they're
in her office.
Right. But yeah, she's just being cruel. This is the same thing again of like blaming Weevil.
He always has to turn back to a life of crime.
Exactly. He's the red herring, as we've mentioned. And yeah, it's insane to hate him for settling. I hate that that's the reason that they gave him.
Yeah.
Because like Veronica would understand.
Yeah. If he had just been like, no, I need the money. I need to settle.
Totally. And she wouldn't like hold this like big grudge that she does here.
Yeah.
So I think that's doesn't work.
Yeah, it's weird. Then we go over to a murder heads meeting. They're speculating on the note. Which is interesting because, like, I guess the note was released in the paper, but, like, we don't know that yet. So we're like, how do they have the note?
Right.
And they're just, like, guessing based on, like, the way it's written, what's in it, things like that. But they're not really getting anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, people just kind of, like, start to allude, like, oh, the note, oh, the note, oh, the note. And then, like, also randomly every now and then, like, 250. But we never, like, see that, like, people reacting to that news. So it's just kind of, like, people commenting on it in every scene.
Yeah. Then we cut over to the police chief, Langdon. She's talking to the mayor, and she's like, I think you need to do what the ransom note requests, basically. Ransom. I guess he's holding the town hostage. I don't really know.
Yeah, pretty much.
And he's like, no. And then his chief of staff is like, you need to do it, basically.
Because you don't know if it's real.
Exactly. We then cut over to Mars.
Which, never mind. You're good.
What it is stupid.
It really is. They're building toward a joke, and the joke's not very good.
Yeah. You shouldn't have to hide it, or else it could just be funny, but it's not funny.
Yeah.
So then...
God damn it, Mayor. Like, you better fucking... You should have done that as soon as it came in. Who cares?
Get naked.
God.
So then, we cut over
to your job.
We cut over to Mars investigation. Veronica's like, Dad, are you cooking something? And he's like, what? And she's like, are you cooking something? And he's like, no. And then she goes into the kitchen in their little office, and he had preheated the toaster oven, which, I mean, I suppose it's a thing you could do. I've never thought to do that. I'd stick the cold thing in there and then leave it in for longer.
Yeah. And I think what it meant to us was he's supposed to put it in and turn the knob, but he didn't put it in. He just turned the knob and left it on stop.
No, I think he was heating it up to then put it in, is what he was saying. So that's why it was still on the paper plate and in the wrapper.
Yeah, that's insane. Why would you do that? You just put it in there.
And so he left one. That's why you never put anything on top of a toaster oven, because it will catch on fire. But two, one, like, okay, so like, yeah, like there's that. But like, then Veronica's like, oh God, Dad, are you okay? And I'm like, I have done dumb shit like that since the day I was born.
Damn it, Keith, you'd never make mistakes like this.
Right? I'm like, no, this family, like, everyone has moments. Like, you're busy, you're thinking about something, you're walking, you're doing something else, and then you accidentally leave your thing on top of it. You forget to put in the toaster oven.
So I think she's mainly the charitable read as she's reacting to his reaction of just like, oh no.
But I think it's like, she's like, oh God, I'm worried now.
Right.
And it's like,
yeah.
I've burnt so
and he
many
has
things.
been forgetful.
So then Maddie shows up and she's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I told Penn all of that information basically, and they're like, yes you did, and don't tell her that there is a bug, as you so wonderfully pointed out. And then
thank you very much.
They're like, okay, we're trying to figure out, the whole time Keith and Veronica have been trying to do research. And basically we find out, Mac must still be in Istanbul or wherever they said she was.
Constantinople.
Because no one can do any of the hacking they need. And
it's so infuriating how they continue to point this out. Damn. We need someone to hack this. We really need a really good hacker. And then
You think they're trying to guilt trip the woman who played Mac?
fucking probably Jesus.
Like, we could still do it. Like, we're episode 5, but we could still do it.
Right. Oh my God. Or it would have been so much better if it was just like, well, we don't need any hackers here. We're doing just fine.
But then they're like, we need someone to hack in to see who's offering to buy all of these businesses because we think it's a company that's owned by the Casablancas just further up the line. And Maddie's like, don't worry, I have a hacking friend. And they're like, oh, you have a friend? And she's like, well, he's not my friend, but I think he has a crush on me. So like, we'll play with this.
Yeah. He got everybody in the high school A's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he had hacked the school system to give everyone an A.
Yeah. And somehow...
They didn't expel him for that?
Exactly.
I'm
assuming he didn't get caught, but like she knows.
Yeah, everyone knows it's him, but there's no proof.
It's the student secret circle, I guess.
Well, I think everyone's secretly impressed. Like, you're not.
Yeah, totally.
So
I don't get along with the kid because he's kind of like he's a little standoffish, but he got me an A.
Yeah, we BFFs. So that's me. Terrifying boys by talking to them when they want to be left alone since 1993.
He doesn't seem overly chatty.
No. So then we cut over to school. Maddie's going to go on a field trip in her favorite teacher's class, Wallace.
Yeah.
Our
favorite teacher.
I think he's her favorite teacher too. Isn't he everyone's favorite teacher?
That's what I'm saying. Our.
Yeah. Okay.
That's you two at home.
Yeah. I hope Wallace is your favorite teacher.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, hey, Owen, like, I know you like me, but like, not like that. She's like dropping hints about how she needs help hacking basically. And he's like, oh, she's like, I'd never be able to do that. And he's like, well, you don't have to know how. I could help you. And you hear Wallace in the front go, it's a slippery slope, Owen. And
Yep. I just love, he's just sitting there. He's just smiling. He knows exactly what's happening. And he's just shaking his head, laughing. Also, when they get on the bus and Wallace is all excited to go to the museum and like mentions the plane that's at the museum, and Maddie's just like, what is that, like a plane? He's like, yeah, it is, and like dies a little inside. I
love Wallace. 10 out of 10.
Yeah. Also, how he puts down Owen also like really quickly.
What do you mean?
Like, oh, he's like, hey, I need that homework from you, Owen. And he's just like, oh, a 2-year-old can do it. He's like, yeah, I've got a baby at home. I can like test your theory, but I still need the homework.
Yeah, still need you to turn it in.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, we love that.
Need more time.
We need more. I want to go to school with Wallace.
Exactly.
A day in Wallace's life. Where's his vlog?
Why isn't Wallace being roped in? You should have given something. Maddie's in his class. Why not like use that as an excuse to rope in Wallace somehow? That's all I'm saying. Give me an episode. Mm-hmm. The fact that we had to wait all the way until episode 4 and 5 as well to get Weevil, criminal. Mm-hmm. Criminal.
It is.
I digress.
So,
you're on.
So, well, speaking of that, we are in court now. It is.
Should have looked at my notes.
Cliff is in court.
Hey. I
trust
listed,
your intuition, baby.
Yeah, I listed my faults. I see Cliff smiling, I smile.
Oh. So Veronica is there when his court gets out and asks him about Juan Diego de la Cruz because he's his public defender. Mm-hmm. And Cliff is like, oh, well, he's going to be free this afternoon. She's like, not anymore. I'm pressing charges because I need information. And she's like, what were you going to do this afternoon? He's like, I was going to take the missus for a walk. And she's like, excuse me? And he's like, that's my dog. And she's like, your dog is named the missus? And he's like, your dog is named Pony. Which I just, I love that they've, 25 years together, just the two of them, just having a great time. Mm-hmm. Veronica's known Cliff since she was a child. Mm-hmm. And we love that for her. Veronica's like, also, like, do you old men talk to each other, basically? Mm-hmm. And he's like, yes, we do. Why? And she's like, oh, has my dad mentioned anything about his memory? And Cliff is like, I forget, which is great. Uh-huh. And then he's like, I won't have this conversation with you. You need to talk to your dad. Then we cut over to the mayor. He gets naked and runs around.
But I did want to mention Cleef. Cleef. they're getting smushed together. Keith is being combined with everybody this week. Cliff, his expert lawyering in the trial, getting the sex worker's case dismissed.
Oh yes, we love that.
Yep. She's just a patriot.
She's a patriot.
Mm-hmm. And I love that it's just like he's like calling attention to how ridiculous all is by like using a patriotic analogy.
It is very good. I forgot about that.
Yeah, fantastic.
The mayor gets naked. He does a nudie for the ransom note.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. I mean, that's it.
And we get a joke of his wife talking him up and like how he's this brave person
for running around naked.
Yeah.
You did it in college for free.
Let's all laugh at the guy.
Nah.
Whatever. I've done it for less.
I've done it for less.
Just like I said, do your job. There's going to be a bombing. You get out there and strut.
Would you run a nudie to prevent a bombing?
Absolutely. They're the easiest fucking thing ever. Really? That's all I need to do?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you.
Of course.
So then we cut over to Alonzo and Dodie, and we get a really problematic scene that I hate.
It's the worst. It's the worst.
They're in this like bougie cafe drinking lavender lattes, talking about how they could never do this back at home. Like it's like talking about like back in the old country.
Yeah, totally.
Because, you know, at home they always have to watch out for someone coming at them from behind. But if they lived in America, it would be different. They could live this American dream. And it's like,
it's the worst.
No, your life is in danger all the time because you work for a drug cartel. So like
it's more getting up the job than like your location.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, no, the career path you chose is very dangerous.
It's not necessarily the country.
I think if you chose that career path in the same town that you were currently in and you stayed long enough, you would have the same experience because that tends to be how that works. So it's like this really stupidly like patriotic moment that's not patriotic at all because it's stupid.
Yeah,
also, like,
and it's talking down on Mexico. It's making Mexico seem like extremely dangerous.
Yeah,
that people are constantly under threat. And that's why they want to come here.
And I'm sure they make lavender lattes. I'm sure you can get a lavender latte somewhere in Mexico.
Absolutely. I am sure. Like Mexico City is like a huge like vacation place in like metropolis. So like.
Well, there's just so many like resort, you know what I mean? Like there's so many different like places where like white people love to go visit. And
that of course, lavender lattes would probably be imported.
Yeah. Imported. You don't think they just put lavender?
That's what I meant. Like the idea, like the only reason they're.
But I don't even think they're American. Like I'm sure lavender lattes started somewhere else.
Yeah, but I mean that they're probably like brought in because of the like.
The white people.
Exactly. So like here you are in Cancun, you can get your lavender latte.
Yeah. So we get that and it's stupid. And then we go to jail. Veronica and Cliff are at jail visiting Juan Diego. Because Veronica needs information. So Cliff is his court-appointed lawyer. And he's like, Juan Diego's like, I thought I was getting out. And Veronica's like, you were, but I'm pressing charges now.
Mm-hmm.
And he's
like,
you
robbed me.
Yeah. And he's like, but if they take me in, they'll send me to Chino. And then because my brother did whatever he did, I'll die. And she's like, yeah, I'd prefer for that not to happen too. So like, if you could give me the information on who gave you the money that was in your wallet. And he tries to play coy and she's, you know, we cat and mouse for a while. And then eventually he's like, I got it from Weevil. And he got it from Clyde.
Mm-hmm. Clyde used to always come around. Weevil said not to talk to him because he was dangerous. Mm-hmm. But he was the money man.
Yeah, Clyde's the money man. So then
nickname.
Exactly. They get $100 per Spring Breaker wallet.
Yeah.
Which also, could you imagine if he had brought in Veronica's wallet to Weevil?
Yeah. Would have been screwed.
It would have been screwed.
Yeah. Do we think it's actually Weevil? Or do you think he's just blaming Weevil?
I think Weevil's probably organizing his children.
What is this, like Artful Dodger?
Yeah, no, I think maybe it is that in the sense that it's like it's Weevil's organizing this for them because that's what they're doing is they're stealing Spring Breaker's wallets.
Right.
But like he's not looking above what that could have anything to do with.
Right. I'm I'm skeptical that it's Weevil doing this.
I don't want it to be Weevil doing this.
Yeah.
Let me phrase
I think
it
that's
that
probably
way.
why I'm more skeptical. But I feel like he's an easy scapegoat to point out.
Exactly. He is our scapegoat and our red herring.
Mm-hmm.
So then Clyde and Keith are duck hunting. They're drinking beer. They're having boy time. Clyde's like, you know what? He gets a phone call, and then he puts his phone down. And he's like, I need to take a leak. And he walks away because that's what men do. So they drink beer and they pee out in the woods. And
That's
then
right.
they hold guns.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know about the holding guns, but definitely have drank beer and peed in the woods.
I've both drank beer and I've peed, but like I don't think I've ever peed in the woods that wasn't in like a bathroom. I've never been in a woods without a nearby bathroom.
Got it. Oh, yeah, because there was the campsite that we were at.
Mm-hmm. So we get that. When Clyde's away, he left his phone out. So Keith grabs his phone. He takes photos of it, all his texts with Big Dick. And then when Clyde comes back, he's like, oh my God, like pretends he has an old man moment and thought that Clyde's phone was his phone, you know. Whatever. Keith comes back. He shows Veronica all the texts that he got. And she's like, did you ever think that maybe Clyde left that out for you, Dad?
Mm-hmm. You're letting your crush cloud your thoughts.
Exactly. She's like, I know that he's paying Weevil because of Juan Diego. And Keith is like, I was played by Clyde, me and my BFF.
Mm-hmm.
Veronica then is like, hey, Dad, I also have been going through your medical information and I found your memory journal. And when were you going to tell me that you are not remembering well? And he's like, well, I didn't want to upset you. And also, like, I didn't want you to think that I was, like, you know, muddled on the case. Cause, like, I want to keep using the medical care, basically. But, like, I don't want to be bought. And she's like, you would never be bought. Like, if Big Dick and Clyde offer to fix you, like, let them pay. Who cares?
Yeah.
Like, I know you can't be bought.
I don't like the Keith being frail thing because like they mentioned that he's only like 56.
Yeah.
But they make it seem like he's like 95.
Yeah.
But I do like the moment of Veronica and Keith and Veronica just being like, you have the access to the like
medical care, like,
so just fucking do it.
Yeah, go get it fixed. I'd rather you be okay and functional than not.
Right. And like take the case, fine. Like that's fairly simple for you to like continue doing.
Yeah, you can do both.
Yeah.
Veronica then comes home and tells Logan about her chat with her dad, and she's like, I think he wants to close the business. He's like, maybe it's time for me to retire and maybe you should like go do something else, chase waterfalls or whatever. And Logan's like, well, why don't you?
But there was a big warning against chasing waterfalls.
Yes, there was. Thank you, TLC.
Mm-hmm.
And he gives her some hard facts, like, yes, you get to live your life however you want, and you can do whatever you want, and you could choose to leave Neptune, or you can choose to stay, but, like, you are choosing, and right now you're not choosing. You're not doing what you want. You are letting yourself decide that you are stuck instead of, embracing the opportunity to, do I want to be here? Like, cause maybe she loves Neptune and she wants to be there and she wants to keep doing PI stuff and fighting crime, but then she needs to pick it instead of feeling like she's trapped into it.
Right. Which is, I get it. And I think that's a good point to make for this season, but it's weird coming off the back of the movie where she does pick it.
Yeah, she picked it.
But
they set it up like an addiction versus like it's not a choice. Addiction's like, not a choice.
Yep.
It's
Damn.
a disease.
Exactly. Damn. I've relapsed, rather than like, I am fully embodying this choice as like, this is my life now, and this is what I've always wanted.
And then Logan makes like a really bad move, and he goes, "What would you do if me and your dad weren't around? Like what would you do?" And she was like, "I'd kill myself because the two people that I love the most in my life aren't here."
Yeah.
And so you're like, yeah, that
makes sense.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. Which I remember this scene, and it's absolutely heart-wrenching because it's like you watch this person who, contrary to how poorly sometimes they write Veronica, like you're obviously like, if you watch the show, you're very fond of Veronica.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And she doesn't see what's in front of her and like the situation she's in, and he's like trying to lay it all out for her in one go in a moment when she's really vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And because she already doesn't show emotion often, It's just, yeah, it's very, you're just like, oh God, like.
Yeah, to like pulling the rug like way too fast.
Yeah.
And you're also bringing something that she's feeling extremely vulnerable about.
And there's like a really common phrase about how trauma is like too much too quickly, like out of the blue, like unpredictably. Like that's usually what causes trauma for us as people. So like the idea that like she just was fed too much information too quickly without like any processing time and any tools to process it, you're like, yeah, like this isn't gonna, it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
She, you know, they have a moment. He apologizes for setting her off because obviously that upsets her. And then we go over to Comrade Quacks. Nicole is being stopped by Vinny, who is in the bar.
He searched through the lost and found box and picked out a
ladies bomber from the 80s.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And it's like a windbreaker material.
It's great. I mean, obviously, I would wear it.
Yeah,
roller skating.
He picked a good one.
And so he's like, Nicole, I want to ask you questions because it seems like every single victim of the bombings has come through Comrade Quack. So like maybe they're scouting them here. Can I see your security footage? And she's like, why the fuck would I give you my security footage, you crazy man in a women's windbreaker?
You know, they say Vinny can be stupid, but he's pretty damn good PI.
Well, he's, you know, he just has an approach that would not work if he was a woman and if he was not white.
True, and he has no moral backbone.
He has he's a jellyfish.
Exactly.
Absolutely
Other than
spineless.
Donut Run, he has had no moral backbone.
I think he goes where the money goes.
Yeah, I was going to say even then, he was just getting paid out.
Yeah, and he doesn't spill secrets. I mean, I guess that's his background, is that he just like, because he would lose business if he did.
Yeah, absolutely. Gotta love Vinny.
So then, while he's questioning her, a bomb goes off in Comrade Quack's.
Yeah, they do a good job with this one. I was very surprised.
So
I had forgotten that this just comes out of nowhere.
The jump scare. So then the police come. They're interviewing Vinny. Vinny's trying to interview the police.
I was going to say,
scene.
It is much better. That's such a good scene where Langdon tries to ask him something and he tries to ask something back.
With something else.
And then the deputy comes by and no, he's not deputy. He's just a police officer. Comes by and he's like, damn, more of these nails. And Vinny's like, thank you. And just writes it down.
So then Veronica's also there. She's comforting Nicole, and the police chief is like, Langdon's like, you need to go, and Nicole's like, she's my friend, and then Langdon's like, no PIs, you need to go, and she's like, Vinny's here, and she's like, Vinny's a witness, and it's like, yeah, okay. And as Veronica walks away, she finds another one of the nails on the floor.
The one that was similar to the one pulled out of Penn's back.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Then we see Penn. Penn comes home from work. He puts on his after work playlist and grabs a beer.
Yes. Alexa.
And there's a knock at his door, and Murderhead Carol shows up at the door. Carol's like, you know what?
First name Murderhead, last name Carol.
Exactly. I figured it out. In this ransom note, someone used the phrase prostitute, like Neptune's prostituting itself. She's like, that's an odd phrase. Nobody uses that phrase. And I'm like, I feel like you hear it all the time in this show, but I digress.
At least this
town
season
needs an enema. And so she's like, you know who uses that all the time? Big Dick. If you look at his Twitter feed, he said that everything from like the police department to the fire department to whatever is prostituting itself. And she's like, so you, Penn, you were right. You were right that it is Big Dick, like that he did write it himself. And then they go to make love and they make out and they go to lay on his bed and there's a dead fucking goose in it. Duck. There's a dead bird in his bed. Goose. That's what I wrote down. Dead bird.
Yep. Pulling full Godfather here.
So then Maddie shows up at Veronica's house. Veronica's like, excuse me, how'd you get here? And Maddie's like, oh, I followed the clues to find you.
Child.
Yeah. Excuse me, how'd you know where I live? And Veronica's like, Maddie's like, your car is beat up and you live at the beach and blah, whatever. Figures it out.
And Veronica is very much just like, oh.
Proud mom. So
I remember when I was your age.
When I used to figure out where people live just by waking up in the morning. Veronica, she's like, my hacker friend found out that the person who owned these, all of these, was another Cassidy, or another
that owned all the shell companies was named Cassidy.
Was Cassidy? I was going to say another Casablancas.
Yeah.
But his name's Cassidy. And she's like, I don't know if you know who he is. And Veronica's like, oh, I know who he is.
Right. And before that, Veronica's like Beaver, and she's like, what? And she's like, nothing.
Yeah. So then
Yeah. Phoenix Land Trust owns all the shell companies that have been buying up all the businesses on the boardwalk.
a nice callback to season 2.
Yes.
When he created that. And you know who set up that with him? Mac. And
Oh yeah, right.
She helped him with all like the paperwork stuff and all, like the website and stuff.
Yeah, and then went with Kendall to
get
like
go do it.
Oh boy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy.
So then as Veronica looks through this paperwork, she realizes that Nicole has also sold Comrade Quacks, and that she listed it for sale right after the first bombing. And accepted an offer right after the first bombing, I should say. She didn't list it for sale.
Right.
And so Veronica's like, oh, cool. I'm being betrayed, and being like, she's like sneaking around behind me because she doesn't want to like tell me this. And like, so she's probably in on this. So Veronica then goes to hang out with Nicole, and she bugs her office.
Yeah.
That's what we end on, is Veronica not trusting her friend.
Is the thought process there that she's working with Clyde and Big Dick and she got a payout that way? Or after the first bomb, she took the payout, so now she can continue doing it without the harm to her business?
My guess is that they're looking at it like she was trying to pick off people who were like sexually assaulting people.
Right.
And like, you know.
I guess my hang up is
and that she, like, I don't know if I think Veronica might perceive it as her doing it mostly in a silo. Like, but I don't know for sure.
Okay. Because I feel like, to me,
because
even though she sold after the first bomb, that would still be less than what it was worth before the bomb, if we're following the logic of the show correctly, of Big Dick and Clyde driving down prices, that the prices have been going down lower.
Unless that first bomb was actually the person who they thought it was, you know, who then blew himself up. Like, if Veronica's operating on that assumption, that then after that, Nicole is like, you know what, I will sell because my value is just going to keep decreasing and I don't want to be here.
Yeah. But I'm pretty sure that they think that the bomb is still Perry Walsh, because he's the one who delivered who restocked the vending machines, and he was already working with Clyde and Big Dick. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that really lines up for her betraying you. Obviously, she's like, fuck, I got to get out of here. Like, I'm selling this bar I don't really care that much about, that I probably won a lawsuit because I had fucking trauma happen to me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, I hope Veronica will lay it out for us in the next one, like they did in this one.
Yeah, because it doesn't really make sense to me. I
think what they're trying to do also is to be like, this woman has been hurt so bad that she's willing to murder. And like, Veronica's like, I could, like, that's my line. Like, that's my code, is that I wouldn't do that, but I've been there where I've wanted to do that. So like, they're playing with that concept. I just don't really think it's helpful or effective.
Yeah, I think my sticking point is I don't see why the reveal at the end makes her think that it's her. I just don't understand what her selling after the first bomb has much to do with anything, because the bomb already went off and would have driven down prices. And she accepted what would be like the guy at the Tennessee, whatever. He got a lower price, but it was from, the quote unquote mom and pop people, but he still he didn't get the full value. Yeah. So I would assume the same would happen to her.
Yeah, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't quite line of like her being like, damn, she betrayed me, she must be the bomber.
Well, I think it's also just like suspicion. I don't think it's necessarily for sure her. It's just like, well, I can't trust her. Like, now because I have to think it is her, maybe, because she didn't tell me.
Because she didn't tell her. Okay, so it's more about that she didn't tell her rather than she could be the bomber.
Well, because I think also for Veronica, like they say in that scene, it's like, oh, you the only people who can betray you are the people you get close to, like, if you let them.
Right.
So it's like, if you know what she's going to do and you know what her plan is and what she's doing, she can't betray you.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's like the trust piece. It's just absolute lack of trust.
It's more okay that she just doesn't. Now she has to investigate her because the trust has been broken.
Exactly. Like, she no longer has the excuse of being like, well, I trust her to not be that person. She's like, it could be.
Okay, cool. I just didn't line up for, I'm like, why would she still be a bombing suspect? It's like, oh, okay, she has to now investigate her.
Because
she can't.
She's just as suspicious, I say in air quotes, as Clyde, but not, even though we
I don't. Yeah, exactly.
But the thing we have about Clyde is conjecture from a kid who was feeling like he would get murdered if he didn't give Veronica information.
Totally. Okay. All right. I feel better about that now.
I'm glad I could comfort you in your time of need.
That's why it's just thinking it through. I'm like, I don't think this doesn't really line up to me, but that makes a lot more sense.
Well, there you have it. Episode 5.
Yep. 3 more.
3 more. And then, well, in my mind, 2 more. I just pretend the last episode doesn't exist.
We'll just ride off into the sunset.
I think there's like the last like 5 minutes maybe. Is it even 5 minutes that I just pretend don't exist? I'm just going to pretend like it didn't happen.
We will get there.
I don't like it. I feel uncomfortable already just thinking about it.
Yeah.
Well, should we plug?
Yeah, let's.
Well, when we're not here doing this, sometimes we're here but doing something else. We're doing other podcasts, it's called. But really, though, it's a podcast where we talk about
sleeping,
random shit we want to talk about. We each research a subject and share it with each other. There's a lot of S's in that.
Share it?
We each research a subject and share it with each other. I have a slight lisp going on. It's a lot of fun. You can find that podcast wherever you find this podcast. It is But Really Though it's spelled THO, and on Twitter it is But Really Though Pod. And I am a life and career coach. I help people get their shit together. We do job searching, we do goal setting, we do confidence building. That one's a lot of fun. You can schedule a free discovery call if you are a new client at butreallythough.com. Though is spelled THO as well. And you can go there to check out my blog, find all my social media, get access to my YouTube, my Etsy, all the different things I sell. I also sell one of my coaching programs as an ebook. It's all linked on that page. And you can follow me on Instagram at BTRLYTHO.
You can find this podcast on Twitter and Facebook at Mars Rewatch. You can find me on Twitter at PyleBrenton. That's PYLEBRENTON. And you can also find our Let's Plays over on my YouTube channel, Burger Discourse. We are playing through Outer Wilds. We still got a good chunk left. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that game was longer than I thought it was when it first came out. But there's, I know from playing it before, there's plenty still to go. Or you can find my musings at my blog, Burger Discourse.
All right. Stay toasted, marshmallows.